Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity. I'm Mike Arboyd and I'm sitting here with Joe da Silva. How's it going, Joe?
Great, Mike. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, enjoying the beautiful weather we got outside today.
Sure, Mike.
Yeah, 3 months of solid rain we've had.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about what you do, Joe.
Well, Mike, I'm pretty much a business advisor. I'm a mentor. I'm a coach for businesses. I do some of the hiring for some of the businesses because they don't want to do it themselves. They're too tied into it. So they like to have a third party come in and do that, and I do that. Work a lot with the leadership groups and with their business development groups. I've worked locally here. I've worked for some of the drug companies. No, not the illegal ones, the legal drugs. Okay. Uh, and I've also worked with some forestry companies, some wellness studios, things. Worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. Also do one-on-one coaching and advising. So it's kind of a whole array of what I can do with my clientele. And just because I have a little free time, I also teach at ILAC, International Language Academy of Canada. I teach sales fundamentals, leadership. What else do I teach down there? HR and communications,
Nice.
as well as consumer behaviors. So I teach that in the evening. I also volunteer a lot of my time for organizations such as the Air Cadets in Maple Ridge, where I teach their effective speaking. I've done that for 5 years. This is my fifth year. We're just going into competition now. And the last 4 years, I've taken one of the cadets from Maple Ridge right to the provincial championships.
Oh, nice.
And one of those to the national championships. And too bad for COVID-19, because last year I had a cadet that I knew for sure was going to go national also. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we did not have the provincial championships last year. So that was very disappointing for the cadet, as well as myself, because I knew he was going to go to the nationals. You just have that sense, right? This year, it still looks very, very good between two cadets. They're just going to fight it out to the bitter end.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's hope that this COVID thing's over, man.
oh yeah.
It's obviously it's affected that part of your life. It's probably affected many different areas of your life,
Absolutely.
right?
A lot of my meetings are Zoom now, of course,
Yeah.
like we're doing right now and everything else. But yeah, it has affected us in that way.
Yeah, it's been crazy. But I noticed it has kind of made people almost prioritize what's important, and kind of passion projects have happened. I've
hmm
noticed a lot of people starting different passion projects and kind of getting their feet wet in places where they'd never had the time before or just were too scared to. And now it's like, what's the worst that can happen?
But yeah,
We're already there.
well, what I'm getting now, Mike, is a lot of these companies now are thinking down the road, and they're thinking can't last much longer,
Yeah.
and we better be ready when it's go time. So I'm having a lot of my current clients as well as past clients come to me now going, yeah, we need a little refresher course or we need to do something to make sure our guys are ready when we can go visit people face to face and start business all over again. So there's a feeling out there that it's not, they're thinking maybe summertime or something will happen that will actually break out, and we can go back to the new normal, because it'll never be like the old normal, that's for sure.
No, it's gonna be a balance of people that either are like ready for the new normal and just like ready to adapt and go back to like not completely what they were doing before, but like seeing people again and going to events and all this stuff. And then there's gonna be people that are still scared
Oh,
that have been normalized to this normal,
hmm
that it's almost been like an introvert's heaven in the last year, where it's
oh,
like so having to go back to that, it's going to be a weird balance of people, and it's going to take time for it to be normal again for mingling and like working at workplaces. I think there's a lot of companies that are going to have to make the decision of whether they're going to want their staff to continue working from home, or if they're going to pay that money for a building that they're leasing for, now that they know that they can work at home, right?
that's an incredible observation by you, Mike, because that is exactly what's going to happen. A lot of these major corporations that have a big footprint in a building or something of that nature, I believe, are really going to take a step back because they've been going on during this whole pandemic and go, do we really need this big a building?
Yeah.
Which will and then go down to the employees. Do we really need everybody to come in?
Yeah.
They know how to work from home. And unfortunately, the third part of that is, do we really need these many employees?
Yeah.
So there is that already out there that people are saying we may not need this big a footprint.
Yeah.
So there could be a lot of big buildings available.
Many. It's kind of scary because it's big businesses that have multiple big locations. Like you got to
Absolutely.
think of like some of those multi-million to billion-dollar companies that have locations in every major city, and they're Amazon is one thing. They've succeeded so well this
Oh,
last year. Obviously, we know why. It's like the perfect setup for them. But like other companies that are still relying on foot traffic and stuff like with these huge warehouses or huge just offices that really in major cities, who's gonna if these big companies don't want them, who the hell is gonna lease from these buildings?
perfect example. Look at Hudson's Bay Company.
Yeah,
They couldn't pay their lease anymore because they're not getting that foot traffic to come in.
yeah,
It's all been taken over by either e-commerce or some other way of doing it, or people just aren't buying as much. But I mean, the Hudson's Bay Company is who founded Canada.
yeah, yeah,
It goes back to before we were Canada. And to see them go, even though they're an American company owned by American conglomerate, it's still sad to see the Hudson's Bay Company go down.
yeah. It's actually crazy to not see like the Canadian government like tie themselves to them or something because
Yeah,
it's yeah, like you said, it's almost more historic than Canada. The history behind that company founded this whole country.
absolutely.
Trading like basically funds the beginning of countries, and
Yeah,
we have the best trading goods in the whole world here. So
absolutely.
as that company was giving trade, doing whatever they had to do, and making the economy here work, like now, yeah, when you heard
Gone.
that, and this is like. I heard. I guess they got an extension, or they're allowed to keep their lease, or something. They worked in an agreement, but this is Coolum Center right before Christmas. You got to think like how bad that is for them if originally the landlord didn't even want them to even
There.
try for
Yeah,
Christmas because they knew this Christmas season isn't like
yeah.
any other.
And when the store in Winnipeg, which obviously is a historical landmark, because that was the first major store was in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
I mean, when it closed, it was sort of like, oh, a little part of my heart
yeah,
kind of sank with that, even though I am not a born Canadian. I immigrated here with my parents way back in the 60s. But I've studied Canadian history quite a bit. And I've been in that store in Winnipeg in numerous occasions when I go to Winnipeg. And yeah, just to see it close down, it's sort of like, oh,
yeah.
that's such a shame.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
just don't see how they could let it happen.
Yeah,
There's like certain things that you protect, and that's easy enough to protect. I mean, we spend money on so many different things. Our tax dollars go to so many different things that we don't know it is. I guarantee you some people would try to save like basically a founding member of Canadian history.
if we keep if we keep bailing out Air Canada and Bombardier, we could have bailed out the
Yeah,
Hudson's Bay Company.
yeah.
I think it's got more importance in history and Canadian identity than both Bombardier and Air Canada.
Yeah, yeah, and I think people have better better relationships with those brands too. Because I mean,
Especially Air Canada.
yeah, nobody says good things about Air Canada. But I feel for them as well.
Yes,
The airline industry right now, man, that's an industry that's suffering heavily. And when they keep talking, like obviously we're finally actually, I think we're going to close planes coming in and international flights
yeah.
more they were still coming, so they were saying it wasn't like a lot of people weren't noticing that we still had plenty of flights coming in. We just had rules when people got here. But when they talk about like I heard like country border travel, like provincial borders not being able to go across there.
Absolutely.
Imagine what that is for like those plane companies. Like that's insane if they can't even make the Canada to Canada flights.
My son is working in Australia right now. He works for actually an aviation company, but they're very specialized. He works for Conair,
Yeah,
out in Abbotsford, which is the largest private fleet of air tankers that fight forest fires.
Yeah.
And so he's stationed in Australia, and he's coming home in April. But the stories he tells me of how hard it is to get into Australia now,
Oh yeah.
it is just
Yeah.
unbelievable. But then again, in the area that he's in, they've gone over 70 days without a single case.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we have these conversations. I this is what I do every day. I talk to business owners.
yeah,
If you talk to any business owner, they would have shut down that business for a month if it meant we could go home for a month, stay home. We have some sort of like delivery for food, whatever it had to be, but nobody's allowed to go out. Yeah, it feels like you're in a like a country, communist country or something. Yes, but you look at the long run. Any business owner will take a month of downtime instead
absolutely.
of a full year, or possibly now it could be a year and a half, 2 years of, I'll say, half-ass, like being able to run your business half-ass, and it's really, yeah,
It's like dying by a million paper cuts.
oh yeah, it's brutal.
So when they closed down in Australia, I thought this was brilliant. Everything shut down, and you could go out and get groceries, but you had to stay within a 5 kilometer radius of where you lived.
Yeah,
If you went outside of that 5 kilometer radius, you got escorted to jail.
yeah,
Basically, if you were not wearing your mask in public, like just walking down the street, you were escorted to jail.
yeah,
Yes, there was a bit of pain, but it only lasted for about not even quite a full month.
yeah,
And then the cases just went
yeah,
plummeted. Now, any new cases they get, it's people coming into the country.
yeah.
It's not from the country
And then
itself.
I've seen what happens when people get to Australia and how it's like you literally get escorted to a hotel. You have to pay $3,000
Yep,
Australian, which I don't know what that works with the Canadian, but you have to pay 3,000, and they house you in a hotel for 2 weeks. Make sure you can't leave that room. Give you food, give you everything, and then you get all your paperwork and you're on your way. So
yep,
literally, there should be zero way of transmission because anybody that's coming into the country with that would,
yeah.
if they're positive, they're in a hotel room. It doesn't matter, right?
That's exactly what happened to him when he came in.
Yeah,
The first 2 weeks, he was in solitary confinement,
yeah,
and that's basically it. But it's hurting our business here. And the other thing he tells me is Canadian people would never agree to the conditions that the Australians had in order to stop this pandemic in their country. New Zealand was also the same.
yeah,
Um, we're just too militant as far as that goes. They're
yeah,
not going to take away our civil liberties about this, that, and the other
yeah,
thing. I mean, just this weekend, right? The I can't say it because this goes out to the public. Somebody who doesn't have quite enough brain power, who had what was it, 700 or 800 people in his penthouse and ran it like a nightclub.
yeah,
Yeah, duh.
yeah, yeah,
And now he's complaining that he got fined. Duh.
yeah,
So why are people doing these crazy
yeah,
things? And it's only going to allow or not allow, but it's only going to hurt business more and more because they're going to be shutting down or they're not going to have the flow through that they need. And this is part of why I've changed my programs, and that is to maximize the dollar for what is coming in the door and make sure that whoever's coming into the door, you're doing everything humanly possible to make sure that that customer is happy and satisfied, has bought something, uh, help the economy grow, etc.
yeah,
And a lot of these people just think, unfortunately, that, well, it's just fewer customers. We do it like we did in the old days. Oh my
yeah.
God, no.
Everything's inflated since then, so you can't make the old days doesn't make enough money for these new days.
No, you can't sit in your little showroom and pretend people are going to come in. Today, you actually have to send those people out to get them to come in.
Yeah,
And that's the major difference that we're seeing now. And again, that's something that I'm training new or companies that work with me now is instead of having 5 people sitting in a showroom area, basically twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the 3 customers that's going to come in that day,
yeah,
put 2 in a showroom, send 3 out.
Yeah.
Well, what do we do when they're out? Here's what you do. Mix, and we go through it all and make strategic plans. Some of them have done it and they're having great success.
Yeah.
That people now are, hey, I saw some, yeah, and they're having great success and increasing their profit margins now.
Yeah.
So it can be done. The question is, are you willing to do the work?
You have to adapt. You have to adapt with the times and just shift to where you have to shift. Go for that online presence. I mean, obviously that's where it's going.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's where you see the difference between, like, there's a lot of mom and pop shops. I'll say mom and pop restaurants. Let's say
Yeah.
that they got by with their good food forever, had no online presence, and just had good foot traffic for years,
Yep.
and never thought they had to adapt and get to that. Then COVID hit, and either they adapted and hired somebody and got a website or joined all those secondary companies to deliver for them,
Absolutely.
or they didn't. And I can guarantee you those are the ones that are closed, because it's just you went from being heavily like that's what you relied on to no, nobody's coming into your business
No traffic.
anymore.
Yeah.
So it's every business, every person that wants to succeed during this time just has to adapt the best way possible. And nobody knows the right answer, but you got to try more things than you would have had to before.
Yeah.
It's just
And the other thing the public can do, actually, you and I and our spouses and friends and relations do is actually support that local restaurant, that ma and pa that lives here, pays taxes here, their kids play hockey here, support those. So instead of going to, I don't know, a Denny's or another big franchise, try something that is local, smaller. Be surprised at the quality of food that the local people make.
yeah.
Wife and I this weekend went to a couple of local restaurants, run by ma and pa and all that, and we had a great time. And,
Yeah.
And they were busy too, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
Not,
It's nice. It's nice. It's one of those things where you like to see things busy, but you also get paranoid. Like I know, like this Christmas, me and Aaron went to the mall for Christmas shopping just one day, and it was just like, how is this allowed? How is this allowed? But yet you can't go see your family. Like, and the joke is like, okay, you can't have family dinners. Meet me in aisle 17 at Walmart, and we'll all just meet there. And it's just, and that's like, it was bizarre because yeah, literally we walked there, it was like sardines in cans. Like they basically limit to how many people can go in the stores,
Yep.
but you have to line up outside the stores, so the whole outside of stores is like literally shoulder to shoulder.
yes.
And so I just did never. You don't understand that, like, in the mom and pop businesses are doing it right, and they're doing it because they have to, because they can't afford those fines. If they have somebody come in from the health, like somebody that works for the health industry comes in and something not by the book, they can't afford those couple $1,000 fines like the big businesses can. But they're not even looking at those big businesses. So that's what's sad is they're allowed to do it.
And they'll continue to do it because they know they can get away with it. And any fine they get, it's like coins they find in the sofa at night, right? So yeah, they have no real interest of they'll follow the rules enough that maybe the health inspector, whatever, stays away from them. But yeah, go into Costco or Walmart down any weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's just like I say it a lot. It's COVID. It fell in a bad time politically. I think if it was a more peaceful time politically, where people were like, especially in the States, so gung ho on like what was happening, and when it hit, it was like it tied itself to a political party. When you have basically, even up in here in Canada, when you have half the country divided on who they support, and you have a health official standing there with a politician next to them, it looks bad to half the country. They don't believe the words that come out of their mouth. It's a bad time politically. Down in the States, even worse. So it's so separated that literally, I always use the example of like people are so tied to their right or their left down there that like either side can be like kill babies and animals right now in front of us, and people will be like, yeah, because they don't even listen to what's being said. And that's where I think it was unlucky that COVID hit in this politically crappy time where nobody can have an opinion, nobody can it's just basically one side attacking the other, and instantly, like, do you think Alberta believed COVID was real when Justin Trudeau's standing there? Like, that's how separated the countries are in like North America right now politically, that the worst thing you could do is tie a politician to the health official. Just have the health official talk. Just let the health
Mm.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it just looks bad because you think there's twistings of arms all the time, no matter what. If there's a politician involved, there's ways to have people speak words you want them to say.
My favorite story about that, Mike, is when the health minister for Canada, Dr. Tam, came out, and I listened to her, and I just went, "Oh, you can't be serious." When she stated that we had to wear masks while being intimate with your partner in
Yeah,
bed, and I'm going, "Oh, how is that even going to work?"
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And then it went internationally.
Oh,
It was a joke internationally. Like, are you serious? The Canadian government's promoting all these weird sexual
oh,
things of
yeah,
ways
yeah.
of doing things.
You can't wear. You have to wear a mask while being engaged in sex, and I'm thinking, "Oh, I am so embarrassed to be Canadian right
Yeah,
now."
it's so bad, man. And it's so bad, and just how we're seeing. It's a time in the world where you see people don't get away with things. Okay,
Yep.
so and it's weird that politicians think they can because everything's in the open now for everyone. So when politicians are like, "Stay home, don't see your families," and what do? They fly somewhere with their families internationally and come home and not doing the things that they're saying telling their public to do. That's not leading a country. That and you're getting caught in your lies. Finally, in a time of this, we're so monitored, and the only thing that's been so a kind of a good thing about being so monitored as a civilization is the people that are in charge are monitored too, and they're getting caught,
Yes.
and it's being in the open, and it's finally getting like mainstream publicity. Like, oh, this person that works for the government of Canada is flying to Bahamas for 2 weeks for during Christmas. It's like,
But the thing is it's the public itself. We've lost because of all the technology that's out there. We've lost our ability to actually listen
yeah,
and to think
yeah,
about what's happening. A couple of weeks ago, the sports media here in Vancouver was going nuts because Brock Besser,
yeah,
who I love dearly,
yeah.
uh, no, not Brock Besser, Bo Horvat,
Uh,
was the quickest Canuck to get to 5 goals to open up a season. So we're making this big deal about Bo Horvat getting to 5 goals. And I'm sitting there listening to this and I'm going, you guys realize that Tyler Toffoli, who used to be a Canuck, just put 5 in 2 games against us,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we still have to play him one more time because that was a Monday, and we still had to play the
Two more
Canadians.
times.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
on the Monday, and I'm going. He could put up 6 or
Yeah,
7, you know.
yeah,
So seriously, people,
yeah.
think
Yeah, it's just
about what you're being fed.
yeah, and it's that's where things like independent media are so crucial.
Yes,
And like I don't know if you've watched any Joe Rogan before or something,
yes,
and it's a middleman who's open to any conversation and any guest on the show and is willing to listen and talk about and not be scared to tell what he thinks about that subject if it's controversial or something. He's not gonna play that. I'm only gonna interview people that I agree with, and it's only people I like.
yeah,
And it's that's where we're at in life where it's like you go online, you follow who you like, you only listen to who you like. So you think that's literally all that's happening in the world, especially things like Twitter, where it's literally that's all. If you only want to follow people that you
agree with.
agree with, then you literally feel like you're in a bubble, and that's everybody in the world has that same agreement, like that same mind frame. And it's scary. It's really scary, and people need to open their minds and open their eyes to what's actually in front of them. I don't know if like how much stuff you've seen that's come out since COVID that's been like openly released by mainstream publications
Yes,
that just get swept under the rug because it's not their hot story. Things that are huge that would change the world dramatically that they don't that people are just like, oh, okay,
the
never.
ch- the challenge I find is if you listen to all this and you get the 2 sides of the story and you form an opinion, um, people don't want to share that opinion because once they share that opinion, they open themselves up
Yeah,
to attack,
yeah,
critical attack, from all sectors. And there's a lot of very, very smart people out there with some really great opinions, but they don't want to share
yeah,
because it's only going they're only going to get lambasted and crucified, and it's a great opinion or something.
Yeah.
You know, there's a quote by I forgot who it was. One of the great philosophers of the world was either Socrates, in that realm, that says that society only grows from an open discussion of opinions.
Yeah.
Our society right now is not growing
No.
because there is not an open forum to share opinions. And Voltaire said, you know, I may not necessarily agree with what you have to say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it.
Yeah.
Well, we have no right to say it anymore
Yeah. It's bad.
because you're going to crucify us. So this whole political correctness stuff is just, yes, we needed it. I've been through. I'm old enough that I've seen both sides of the spectrum now. And yes, back then we really needed to correct the way we treated ourselves, women in general, children, all that. That needed big time correction. However, when you can't say to somebody that now that they're a rat because they went and spread something about you, or you're chicken because you're a coward, because now you're stomping on the rights of an animal like a rat or a chicken, I'm going, we've gone too far.
It's that we go to the extreme spectrum all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's to fix this. You have, like you said, you have to have a conversation. I've had this conversation with so many people. And we have a quote on our wall from Bob Marley. Actually, it's like, freedom of speech carries with it the freedom to listen. And
Yes.
it's so true. And I tell the story too about on the podcast quite a bit. It's about he's a black journalist from the United States in the late 80s, who his goal was to basically talk to heads of the KKK to figure out why they are the way they are. But he didn't know, as a black journalist, how am I going to interview somebody without them taking my head off? And he got his secretary to phone the head of the KKK in the state that he was living in. She called, set up an appointment, got there, didn't tell them that he was a black reporter. They kind of were like, whoa, 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 like blah, blah, blah. Still did the interview. Over time, this guy, they got along, a KKK head of the KKK and a black journalist, and they get along, and they realize they have a lot in common. The head of the KKK says why he ever got involved with them and why he believes these things. He listened. The black journalist listened to him, told him why he thought it was wrong, blah, blah, blah. They still had a great relationship they were building. The head of the KKK decides, okay, I think it's time for you to come to one of our rallies. Brings the black journalist to one of the rallies, sits him in the crowd. Obviously, the KKK members are like, what the hell is this guy doing here? Then the head of the KKK tells them all, like, basically, sit down. This is a friend of mine. I respect him more than a lot of people, even members of this. And basically, over time, was just like, yeah, like, he ended up stepping down as a head of a KKK.
Mm-hmm.
Had a child, named or made that black journalist his godparent to his child.
Wow.
Then this black journalist didn't stop there. He went, I think he did it for over 30 different KKK members around the United States and just talked to them about why they feel the way they do. And a lot of it has to do with crappy upbringings, with parents that raised them to believe that was the only way of life. And when your brain is a sponge and you're being fed that by your parents, the people that you love, and that's all you're raised to believe, and you're not listening to anybody else's opinion, that's all you know.
Absolutely.
So the only people that can change that are people that are willing to listen to you, even though it could be hateful as all can be, but they listen and then tell you, no, this is why you shouldn't think this way. And it works. And it honestly works. And that's what's right now, what we have is the left or the right. It's attacking each other to a point where it's not like, it's you're an idiot, you're an idiot. It starts off, you're an idiot. It's like, you're an idiot, but this is why you got to listen to me. And nobody's going to listen being degraded instantly. Never. And that's what we have. It's so sensitive, it's oversensitive, but then at the same time, it's undersensitive because nobody will ever put themselves in other people's shoes.
No.
And that's dangerous.
The thing that society has to learn, it's a big lesson, and I really believe we're not ready to learn it yet, is in order to move society ahead, we have to get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
We have to, like you say, walk a mile on the other person's shoes. Remember how that saying used to go? Maybe you're not old enough. It used to be walk a mile on another person's moccasins. But you can't say that anymore because now we're being objectifying the First Nations people. So now we've changed everything. And all the changes that have happened,
Mm,
you gotta just sit back and think, why did we make this?
well, hey, it's all
Why
good.
did we make this change? Is it for the better good, or is it just because we got some mouthpiece out here that has fed us enough that we're just going to
Yeah.
follow them? I mean, it's an old saying. If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you?
Yeah, it's bad. And I think at this point people are like that, and they would. And it's that fault. It's that scared of. Basically, I think there's a lot of fake out there too, where people
Oh,
are just basically jumping on like the support bandwagon of all these different movements, when in reality they're only doing it to stay like almost like keep face with people. And it's just, if it means something to you, fight all your power to fight for those movements. But if you're doing it just so you come off politically correct with your friends or family or whatever, don't do it. It doesn't help you at all, especially if you're talking on the subject and you have no idea about anything that's going on, yet you try to come off like you were
an
a
expert?
scholar with it.
No.
And it's everybody's got an opinion right now, and I feel like it's not their opinion, and
No.
it's really bad, and it's a bubble wrap society is what I like to call it. It's not, especially with kids. Like I have a son, he's 3 almost. I'm scared of what, like, of course I want him protected. I want him to like have an easier time than kids of the past generations with, like, let's say bullying and all those other
Oh
things,
yeah.
obviously. But it comes to a point where you should be able to tell kids and show them what they're good at. And if they're not good at stuff, tell them there's ways to get better, but don't tell them that they're great at everything and that everybody's equal at everything and that you got it once for the full 12 years of school that they're in. And then once they're either going to post secondary or they decide I'm just going to in the work field, good luck with that everybody's equal garbage, because nobody is equal in that mindset. Like, you cannot just jump into it. You realize, oh, you're not a CEO of a company when you start there. Like,
No, the biggest lie Canadians were told was in 1984 when the government enacted the Freedoms and Rights Act, and that was in 1984, where it specifically stated in the act that every Canadian is equal. So if you look at that, the wording of that, you think, all right, so somebody, unfortunately, due to sometimes no fault of their own, who's in the downtown east side is equal to, let's say, Jimmy Pattison?
yeah, uh,
Canada, apparently, according to the Rights and Freedoms Act, has no class system. I'm sorry, we do have a class system, and it's made up of many things. And everybody being equal, it's sort of like the argument of everybody gets a trophy, no matter if they win or lose. Well, you're doing a disservice to a person you're giving a trophy. You're doing a disservice to the person who's really good and deserves a trophy,
yeah,
because then you take away the motivation to even get better.
yep,
So why do I need to work harder if little Billy, who's a complete
mm,
gets the same trophy I get?
yeah, it doesn't make
Then
sense.
little Billy is back there and he's going, huh, I don't have to work hard at all. I'm still getting
Yeah,
the trophy.
yeah,
So you're devaluing the good person, the person who's striving, who's working, who's in the pits doing something, and you're rewarding the person who doesn't want to do anything.
yeah.
It just does not make sense.
No, it doesn't. It's brutal. It's absolutely mind-boggling, and it started happening near the end. I would say near the when I was in college, I started seeing it happening. Like, I heard, and I still haven't done it, thank God. But like taking grades out of school, sports days and stuff at elementary schools. Now everybody just gets a participation ribbon, and it's just like, okay, in school, if somebody is a great athlete, a lot of the time they're not the greatest student. And that's not like a stereotype or anything. It's just you concentrate on different things that you're passionate about and what you're good at. That's what kids usually do. If you're good at something, they want to keep doing it. If they don't, it's kind of, some people like challenges, and yeah, but if you fail at stuff, it's hard to be like gung ho, like doing it really heavily. But if they're good at sports, let them be good at sports. If they're good at academics, let them be good at that, because if they keep going with that, then they can grow with it, and maybe one day they can jump back to the other side and try it again. But let kids succeed in what they succeed at.
The funny thing is, kids know.
Yeah.
When I was coaching my son in soccer, I'll never forget this story. Is we're driving home, and he looks at me. I think he's about 6 at this time, 6 or 7. He looks up at me and he goes, "So, Dad, what was the score of the game?" And the politically correct thing to say is it was a tie. Okay. No, just say it's a tie. All right. That's what we were told to do. So I looked at him and says, "Oh, it was a tie." And then there was a bit of a silence, and he goes, "Well, I got 2, Daryl got 1, and Greg got 2, and I think James got a goal, and who else got a goal? I know we got 7, and I think there was only 2 from the other team. How does that work into a tie, Dad?"
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so at 6 and 7, they know.
Yeah, and what's insane is they're never going to do that with professional sports, and that's what the kids
Yeah,
are watching.
yeah,
So like they
exactly.
know there's supposed to be a winner and a loser, and that teaches you everything in life. Like losing usually actually does more for people than winning when it comes to getting better, because they're like, I don't want to lose anymore, so they get that drive to win. And that's everywhere in life. That's not just sports. That is literally business, that is passions, that is like side hustles, that is everything. You gotta
Everything.
literally everything. And when you're starting kids off, and like I said, it's their brains are sponges, and you're teaching them, no, just half-ass
You're
it.
great.
You're great. You're a great kid. You're gonna do great things in life. Oh, you're really terrible at that. I'm not gonna tell you you're terrible at that, so I'll
Hmm.
let you continue to waste your time. Or if they're practicing it properly, not wasting their time, but really they're just wasting their time because they're being told they're amazing
Yeah,
at it, and they spend years doing something, like being lied to. So you're telling these kids that basically being politically correct is better than
the
being
truth.
honest.
Being politically correct is better than the truth.
Yeah.
It's a lot of conversations that I have with my clients, especially the sales managers or something like that. And I've been called the Gordon Ramsay of business coaching, because I don't hold things back. And I'll have a conversation with the CEO or the CFO and the manager, and I'll say, I want to discuss something right now because I don't want to discuss it 2 or 3 weeks down the road. And they go, "Oh, well, what do you want to discuss now?" I says, "Well, I want to discuss that if 2 or 3 weeks down the road, I come to you and say, you know, Bill, it's not them, it's you. How are we going to handle that conversation?" Right? And then, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, it's not them. The problem is you. So I don't think I need to work with them. I really need to work with your leadership team. They're okay, Jack."
Yeah.
You know? And of course, there's the denial, da da da, da da da. Then I mention a few things, and they go, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
it may be me." Okay. Well, I just want to put that out there now because I don't want to have the conversation in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's something that a lot of times people ask me questions, especially in the beginning of the process. And I go, well, I before I answer that, because there's 2 answers I can give you. I can give you the answer you want to hear, and I'll probably get the job to train your people. Or I can give you the answer that you need to hear,
Yeah.
in which case I'm probably not getting hired. Which one do you want?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want the want or do you want the need?
You want the need, and as a smart business owner or smart anybody asking for help, if you're asking for help,
you have a
take that
need.
damn help.
Yeah,
Like in you're hiring, if you don't hire the person because they're honest with you, that's not who you want to do business with. People that are honest with you and not the people that are just gonna.
I had that conversation with a young woman who ran a wellness center, and she says, "Okay, give it to me. What do I need?" Well, the way it's going right now, you need to close down. What? She says, "Yeah, you need to close down. You're bleeding too heavily.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can save this. You're just bleeding too heavily. Close it down. Do your save some stress, save some worry. Close it. I don't want to. It's it. Da, 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 da. Okay, but you better be ready to do some freaking hard work,
yeah,
because this is going to be hard work on your part and my part. But this is going to be hard work. We saved it. She's making money now. She's happier than a pig in poop.
yeah,
But was it hard work? Whew, was it ever?
yeah,
But I've told people to shut their businesses down. She's not the only one. I says, I've looked at all the numbers. What you need to do is close
yeah,
before the bank does it to you.
yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to I'm too old. I don't want to sugarcoat
Yeah.
anything. And I only want to work with people that are serious.
And sometimes you telling them that will actually drive them to that actual breaking point of either closing or like what do I need to do, and they actually like get put in that mind frame of like anything I'll do. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like I gotta do what I gotta do, and it sometimes just takes like straight up truth and honesty, and it's almost bittersweet. It's yeah, you have to hear honesty from people. It's that's and like more and more I'm noticing like the businesses that aren't honest, a lot of like those like there's tons of marketing teams out there, and you have the marketing teams that you can tell are genuinely trying to help out who they're
Yes.
helping out, and then you have that used car salesman style who's just like it's just like a mass message that they send to everybody. They don't know a lick about what you're trying to help. They don't know what kind of company you are. They just need business and they don't care. You're just a number to them. But I find that I've talked to quite a bit of different marketing teams, like basically consultants, and they all the ones I've talked to that are like doing this podcast, trying to help people. Like that's what their business of doing is helping people. And right now, the people that are your clients are the people that need freaking help. So be honest, be genuine, be a good person because they don't have time for bullshit. That's straight up. They don't have time for bullshit right now. And they
But
know that. The smart business owners know that they don't have time for it.
yeah, and it's like Jack Nicholson said, and this is so many people that are not prepared for it. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
And there are some.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. Well, yeah. Well, obviously you can't handle the truth. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard.
We'll agree to disagree
Yeah, but it's
and
the only
move
way
on.
you learn.
Yeah, and move on.
Yeah, it's the only way people can move on, adapt, learn, and that's how we all carry on and grow bigger as a society is
Absolutely.
learning from mistakes and learning from successes.
And
Take
never
both.
stop learning.
No,
Yeah.
no,
No, my dad used to say to me all the time, the day you stop learning is the day you die.
yeah. And I don't
Yeah.
think anybody really, unless they just basically turn themselves into a vegetable before they are,
Yeah.
that you should always be learning something.
Yep.
This brain is a crazy tool.
Yep.
We haven't
Absolutely.
figured it out yet, so.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, anything you're doing right now you want to promote? How do we find you? Website?
Website would be joedasilva.ca.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's just my name. I market myself with my name because a lot of people know me. I'm a Toastmaster. I work with
nice.
Toastmasters. I got the highest ranking on Toastmasters as far as the speaking part of it, which is they call it DTM, stands for Distinguished Toastmaster.
Cool.
Some people say, well, difficult to manage. That's what that stands for.
Where do you guys do your stuff out of? The Toastmasters, like before when you were getting together for those meetings and everything?
We did it out of the uh, Justice Institute.
Oh yeah,
Okay, we had meetings. Now we're meeting online.
yeah.
It's not as good as a meeting in person, of course.
Yeah.
In the summer, we met at the park, Queens Park. They have a bench held there, so we would meet there.
Cool.
But yeah, we try to find places where we can meet, but primarily right now it's just Zoom.
Yeah.
Is the way we do it. Of course, I still have my teaching gig, which just enriches me and keeps me going every day. anytime I feel low, I just keep thinking, okay, well, I get to teach tonight.
Yeah.
And that is just something that keeps me going. Also, with the business of my full-time business, which is the coaching and the mentoring and the advisory part of it, that keeps me going too, because I see so many successes, so many people write me letters afterwards and tell me, what they're doing and how it's changed their company and their way of looking at business and doing business and treating people, etc. It just, you get that jolt of just all of a sudden adrenaline starts rushing, and you keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, working with me is fairly easy if you're willing to do the work.
Yeah.
Don't go. I'll give you everything you need to be successful. All you have to do is do it. I can show you, I can teach you, but I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
And nothing infuriates me more when I get a phone call, your stuff doesn't work. Oh, okay, so tell me what happened. And said, well, I did this and I did this. Okay, and then what? Well, that's where I stopped. Well, you're missing 3 steps. So how does my stuff not work? You
Yeah.
haven't done it.
Yeah. It's that.
Well, yeah, I did the first 2. Well, it's a 5-step process. You got
Yeah.
to do it all.
We're in a instantaneous society where it has to
Gratification.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right away.
instant gratification.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can find me at joedasilva.ca. I'm on LinkedIn, again, under Joe da Silva.
Okay.
I'm on the other platforms, but the biggest platform I use is LinkedIn.
Cool.
I have, well, my teaching job came from LinkedIn, in that, so it's a college. The head office is in Toronto, and a lady in Toronto was going through LinkedIn, saw one of my blogs and read it, saw one of my videos, and then she went to my website and looked around and read some stuff, and then she phoned the academic director in Vancouver and asked her, are you still looking for someone to teach that sales fundamentals course? She says, yeah, I can't find anybody. Yeah, I think I found a guy.
Yeah. It's a great
and
tool.
and I've been there for 3 years now and enjoying every single minute of it.
That's awesome.
The youth is what's going to take us to the next step.
Yeah.
So we got to prepare them for it.
Yeah.
And
The true way.
the true way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, that's how you can reach me.
Cool.
Like I said, I've been very, very productive recently. Gotten a lot of clients that are feeling that we've gone through the hump. We're now better get ready, because if it opens and we're not ready, we're going to be even further behind.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of my former clients are coming back, says, how are we going to be ready? How are we going to get ready? And working with them to just not get ready, but ride this out.
Yeah.
I've had quite a few companies ride this out and aren't closing or anything else. They're actually, one actually had their best year ever in
Yeah.
2020.
It's
So there's business out there. We
Yeah.
just need to know how to get it.
know how to get it and know how to promote
Keep it.
yourself and keep it.
Yeah.
And it's changing huge. It could be business plans you've had and set in stone for years that you've had to change drastically just to keep up. But who knows? Like it might have been something, a blessing that should have happened before, anyways. And you see, once everything's back to normal, that they can use a new thing and still use it within to make their business better and than it was before in the new
Absolutely.
time. So
Absolutely, sir.
yeah, but I enjoyed talking to you today, Joe.
Oh,
Thank you for
it's
coming
been a
on.
blast. It's been a blast. Thank you for allowing us to share back and forth, not just on the business, but philosophy
Yeah,
and opinions.
I think that's what I've tried to do is people want to get to know people
Yeah.
now, and they're craving people. We've been told to stay away from people for so long now that I think getting to know the people behind businesses, behind I have artists on the show like this, behind their artistry, like having their own opinions come out and not hateful ones. That's what I think people are so confused by right now.
Yeah.
Is that if you're not this way, you're like an extremist or something. And it's like, no, just let people voice what they want to be said. And
Let
it's
people be people.
let people be people. We all get along. We get along a lot better than what is portrayed.
Absolutely.
And we are, yeah, I just I enjoy talking to people that like to help other people, and that's what we're doing here, and that's what I know you're doing.
Yeah,
So, thanks for coming on, Joe.
I loved it, man.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us on PoCommunity. I'm Mike Arboit. He's Joe da Silva. Have a good one.